lost everything I worked for in the past 5 months. I lost everything I worked for in 13 minutes. I never expected in my life that that would happen, okay? First and foremost, I need $550,000 to right myself. I would probably work the next 6 weeks to make that money, and I don't have the option to do it anymore. The worst thing that I have to look forward to in the next 6 weeks is my men right here. Every one of those guys, there's 12 of them, they rely on me to pay them for what they do. And nothing got ruined here on Monday afternoon in 13 minutes. They would work 6 to 8 to 12 more weeks. During the next week, through Labor Day, some of these girls here would pack tomatoes for me for 110 hours. So they had money to live and to go through the winter. They have no more time. I'm asking Mr. Blumenthal to help me pay these people. I need $15,000 a week for the next 10 weeks. You did it during COVID. You can do it now. You said the other day on the TV that when you need to find money, you'll find it. I told you on Wednesday, when I'm faced with a challenge, I pull up my bootstraps and go to work. I'm asking you today, on Friday afternoon, to pull up your bootstraps and find me $150,000. And the reason I ask you for that is I did what you asked. Mr. Collins, where are you? Billy.
Right here.
Right there. See that man right there? He's lost numerous times. He gets up and pulls up his bootstraps. That man is the best farmer in the state of Connecticut. Okay? He's lost hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. And every time he loses it, he gets strung out. You stood there and you said last year you were going to find help. You found help in low interest loans. We don't need loans. If we wanted loans, we would find them. He filled out the paperwork for said loan. Said loan was accepted. You didn't have funds in the account to pay that man. You understand that? Because that's what I'm going to tell my creditors. I'm going to say, Mr. Blumenthal has your money. It's not in my account. And I say that because I bought insurance how you asked him to buy insurance. I'm fully insured on tomatoes. I'm fully insured on corn. The most I'll get is $208,000. They're going to find a way to chip that down. I bet I get 160 grand. Okay? Take that off the 550. I fully insure my crops through FSA, like you asked me to do. I have to go over there and get insurance on every item individually. Yellow squash, zucchini, pumpkins, butternut squash. Every one of those cost me $600. I am lucky because there's a little clause in there. I've only operated this farm by myself for 4 years. So I get half credit and I only pay half. So I need to pay a $6,000 premium to your FSA. Why is it all trumped up? 1 product, 2 products, 3 products, 4 products. Potato right up there. That's what I get. And then you're going to tell me if my loss is over $300,000 that you're only giving me $300. Then you're going to whack this off of it. Then you're going to whack that off of it. I bet you I get to 220. Okay? I fell short. Where are you getting the rest from? I did what you asked me to do. And you get in front of that camera all the time and you tell people I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And it falls short all the time. I've worked too hard in my life to be left like this. Do you want to answer them now or do you want me to keep going? I am standing up for every farmer here. Billy Collins, George Hindinger. I'm standing up for Charlie Rosabianca that's trying to live his dream over there that got ruined in 13 minutes. He made a call and he got a bullshit answer. And he just found that out. Why? Because I stood up for Charlie. Who else has a farm that lost stuff and never got money from the FSA? I know you guys are here. I just saw you. Keith Bishop. He knows a lot about agriculture. He's been in a lot longer than me. Everything we get is lip service. Lip service, lip service. It's time we all stand up. And I'm asking everybody here to stand behind me. And you see what happened in 24 hours. I could do a lot more with a lot more time. Tell them. So all the cameras are rolling, and you like that.
First of all, I want to thank Will for inviting me.
Yes, you gotta stand up for something, or you'll fall off for anything. And we're done falling. I hurt, I go home, my body hurts. I get up at 4:30 every morning. I get up. My daughter's right there. Her birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
I got up. My body hurts. I'm only 44. I shouldn't hurt like this. I got up. She woke up. She was up. She said, Dada? I said, what are you up for? It's my birthday. But you know what? I had to come to work. What time did I see you last night, Tally? I just had to get dinner with you. It was dark out. It was almost 8 o'clock.
Let me just say, Will, as I mentioned, thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. We were together yesterday, I think.
Wednesday.
Day before yesterday. We were together in Southbury day before yesterday. I came to hear farmers along with representatives of various federal and state agencies. And I've been around areas, as you may have seen, Oxford, Seymour, Southbury, Middlebury, Newtown, Danbury, areas that have been hard hit. People have lost homes. They have nowhere to live. And they have no insurance. People have lost businesses. Destroyed. And they have no insurance. And my heart goes out to you, Will.
I had insurance though.
And
that's my point.
Let me just finish. Some people, maybe some of the farmers have insurance, but it doesn't meet the needs that you have. And in the past, we have managed to work with some of the federal agencies. For example, the flooding last spring, I don't know whether any of you were affected by it, but we got some remedies for people. We're going to go to work again. We're going to fight. We're going to go to bat for any of you when we can with federal agencies or state agencies. We're fortunate to have some of the state representatives here. Thank you for coming. The state and the federal government have been working with those property owners to try to get them some relief. There is nothing more frustrating for me as a United States Senator than to bat my head against a wall, and we talked about this, Will, on Wednesday, when we are up against the big corporate giants, the agribusinesses. The reason why specialty crops don't have the same insurance as the big thousands of acres run by a small number of businesses, they have political sway. And so I want to thank all of you for standing up. We need you to stand up. I invited Will to come to Washington and help me. He offered to walk.
I said today, I'll drive a tractor. Hey, you know what? They parked them on the mall in the 70s. I'll park it there again. But one thing is if they wanted that there, it'd stay there. But if they don't want, they're going to put me in jail. So you guys going to bail me out? Because I'll do it. See, there it is. We're going.
You won't need to
go
bail
to
him out. I guarantee you. But we need to change the law. We need to change the system. And, you know,
That's an understatement.
I want to be very blunt and honest with you. I get yelled at by a lot of people. It's part of my job, right? And that's not a bad thing because it helps me to listen. That's why I went to the meeting, Will. I knew it was going to be a tough meeting. That's why I came out here. I knew it was going to be tough to see the destruction here. I could have just headed home. End of the day. But I want to listen to you, and I want to see for myself what the destruction here has been and how the present system is failing to work. Now, it worked somewhat with the flooding that occurred back last year. We got people some relief. In fact, I went out just a month or so ago to one of the farms that's back in business because of the aid we were able to get. This flood occurred about 10 days ago. Give us some time. Help us to document the loss. I've been talking to homeowners. Believe me, it is heartbreaking. They have children too. And the children are in school and they have no place to go at the end of the day. And the business owners who have put their hearts and soul into the restaurants, the greeting card companies, I'm just telling you some examples. The other kinds of businesses where their whole life is gone. These stories are heartbreaking, and we're going to try to do whatever we can. We're going to get a declaration of major disaster, I hope, from the president. We already have an emergency declaration. We want to get a major disaster declaration because that will unlock some of the funds that would help Will and help you.
What do you need from us to make that happen?
Senator, what do you want us to do?
Document your losses. I'm a trial lawyer by training. I know how to put on a case. We need to put on a case saying, here are the losses. That's why I'm here. So I can say to the president, to the secretaries of agriculture, you know, I've seen it.
You ain't seen nothing like this, my friend. I'm telling you. Nothing.
Well,
Listen,
you know, I was in the Connecticut Valley
the hailstorm.
after that flooding. And
saw that. You haven't seen this.
I'm not making comparisons. You know, people who have suffered losses should be coming together, not trying to compete with each other as to who lost the most, with all due respect. I know your losses, you know, have been heartbreaking. So I'm willing to go to bat for you, but to answer your question, we need to have the evidence, the facts, the pictures. You know the old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words? The pictures. Maybe I haven't seen anything like this before.
We need voices.
But that's not the proof that I need for a major disaster declaration. I need the objective fact that will enable me to do what we did in the Connecticut flooding, to do what we did in certain parts of the state when we had those microbursts or the tornadoes.
Can a very small area like this?
And we also, that's immediate relief.
Can a very small area like this get attention and get those funds allocated? What's the geographic size that's needed in order to have the federal government recognize the type of programs you're talking about?
Keith Bishop speaking.
There is no kind of geographic minimum. That's the good news. But we do need to document the monetary values of the losses.
What's the mechanism for that? Do we have to do it individually? Do we do that as a group? Is there someone from the state or from the feds that will help us document that?
Our Department of Agriculture, and I didn't know this group was going to be here. I came out to see what happened to Will. I mean, I'm glad to see you here.
Takes a village.
happened to Will, though.
These families, he puts food on every one of our tables. Every one of our tables got his product on it. When his product doesn't appear on our table, we don't eat right. So it affects everybody in the crowd, not just Willie. And Willie, he won't admit it, but during the pandemic, when both people lost their incomes, Willie fed them at his cost because they were good customers. This is a village. We are all Willie's family. When you mess with Willie, you mess with us. So it's as simple as that.
this for the record, I'm not messing with Willie. and I didn't, you know, I mean, just so everybody understands, and you know, I didn't wish for this storm.
None of us did.
None of you did.
Right.
And now we need to come together and document the losses. The state has a site, the state emergency
How about a well-placed letter?
emergency management and homeland security.
The whole problem, the reason why I am so angry is because every one of these programs falls flat on its face.
We
I've
put
been
on a
saying
dog
this
and
for
pony.
6
We put a
years.
dog and pony show
for no
last
reason.
year at
That's why
Fairweather
you're here.
Growers, and we got nothing. We are $1.3 million we lost. We got what, $700,000 we're taking out in emergency loans. So where was the help there?
You say
It was a year. It's been a year.
System.
And we have documentation and documentation. They were supposed to send people around to help us fill out stuff. Nobody showed up. Nobody shows up for us.
Listen, what I can tell you is
So how many more
I
dog and
have
pony
joined-
shows do we have to
I have
come
joined
together
legislative measures to try to change this system, and I'm asking for your help because you've all seen what
You
Washington
pull in
looks
these
like.
legislative measures
You've
you
all
talk
seen-
about.
you've all
Worry,
seen-
you're not coming to me, you're not coming to Billy, you're not coming to us big producers to let us tell you how we need it. You guys put stuff through. We are at the beck and call of all your flawed programs. Food safety, every single one of them is flawed. FSA, flawed. It should be the Flawed Service Agency. I called for service and I got the runaround. All this stuff needs to be changed. I just listened to you talk about this and that and that. You did not mention hail, you said flood. And we are talking about the flawed programs. I don't care about who you gave money to last time or any of that. I paid my insurance, I followed your programs that are flawed. That's what I want you to answer. Don't tell me that you paid this one and you got this one. Because Billy Collins, interest.
The loans, yes.
Billy
we got
Collins,
loans.
interest
We got loans,
is what
but-
people you are talking about don't even pay for their homeowners' bills in a year. Just his interest is what people pay for vehicles. Just his interest.
Our
Every
emergency
morning that
loans
guy
were
gets up.
3.75%. The operating loans were 5.625%. So how is this helping us? How is this helping? It's not. It's not. If you
Man's
don't
in
want
debt.
farms in New England, you're heading in the right direction.
What are you going to do for the small farms like us that can't afford insurance? We lost 90% of everything on Monday.
Wait, where's Chris?
I-
Chris, what are you? Say it right now. What did you do? What are you?
Previously,
Yeah.
I was a U.S. Marine.
Okay, there we go. That man used his money. If you talk all the time of that man and his wife, they need their money. That's what we're talking. We're not talking about Pryor. And if we talk about Pryor, all we're going to talk about is the man, the legend, Billy Collins, that's taken so much in his life.
But you know what the
That's
sad
the
part is?
toughest man in this crowd here right now.
The sad part is that last year we got a card of a suicide hotline.
That's what I
That's
got
what
it 3
we got.
times already. You
And
know what?
That's
That ain't
the
happening.
support we're getting is a suicide hotline number. How is that helping us?
Correct. It doesn't leave it easy to change over the next generation. One, we're getting these loans that really aren't helping us. I'm starting in a business where we're $1.3 million in debt. Almost every American's in debt. Not quite this much though. And I'm trying to do this at 18, get into this, and well, it almost makes you want to move or just completely get out of it, because I could get into a job, I can make $100,000 plus a year and be just fine. Why would I want to be a farmer? Well, why not? But this is the one reason why not. This is the biggest reason. Everybody's working against you. Everybody's working against you. The loan companies, they're working against you. Yes, they're giving us loans, and I understand it's their form of helping, but it's not helping us. It's hurting us more than anything. It's putting us further in debt. We have 90 employees a year at the peak of our season. 90 employees, and they all have families. We're supposed to provide for all those people, and at the point of our season where we're in our highest and we get losses every few years, it makes it hard to pay these people. And we have before anything, we have to pay them. And then, well, at the end of the year, if we go under, then they don't have a job next year. And then you have 90 people going out to find jobs, and everybody's complaining about
the family
jobs.
farm. The end of the family farms. That's it.
Correct.
No more generations of that.
Senator, if I may, we had somebody ask you about mechanisms. We had somebody say that you were, that people were supposed to be here last year. What can we do immediately to help solve some of these problems? What mechanisms can we employ? You're the linchpin for this. You're the governmental
we have
focus.
Some representatives from agencies that are here. If they want to come forward, they can provide some immediate guidance. But what I'm saying to you is that documenting the law, we will go to bat for you. You know, I don't really have words to answer your criticisms of this broken system.
Again, I'm not being critical, but my question is this. We're all now in a position, especially the little farmers, where they immediately need funds to pay bills and live. So the question then becomes, what can the government do to alleviate the stress to get them through while the mechanism starts to work?
A FEMA group for agriculture, which we should have had 25 years ago.
So my point though
Their
is,
smartest people are in Washington. They know this.
and there should be some immediate emergency funding available to help them get through the mechanism that takes forever.
We will look into what can be made available. I can't make promises as I stand here right now.
Yes, sir.
But Dan Riley of my staff is here. We have representatives of other agencies who are here. I don't have money. You know, you know the way the system works. I don't actually give out money. I don't approve money. I don't have.
But you keep saying to document.
The money. But we can go to bat for you because the USDA, our state agencies, we're going to try to cobble together whatever we can. And I know this answer doesn't give you a dollar amount.
How about this? We appreciate that. We understand there's a cobbling that needs to occur. But in the interim, they still have bills to pay.
And farm workers that can't make it
They
through
have
the winter.
farmers that can't make it. Is there emergency funding? I know I don't want to get too deep into the politics of things, but we all see what's going on in our nation. Can we get some money for these guys immediately while we work through the mechanism? Because they're not going to be able to eat. They're not going to be able to survive.
Stop the creditors that are going to be calling me in 30 days.
That's right. That's what I was going to say. Why don't we put a moratorium on these creditors' ability to then strong-arm these small farmers? I mean, can we get the moratorium? Won't cost you any money, and you have the leverage as a senior senator.
Well, that may be something actually that the state can do. I don't know whether you want to talk to it. States can intervene in that way.
Yes, sir.
You know, you've seen the way Washington works.
Yeah, we all know that.
So welcome to my world. You know, I am a leading advocate of something called the Ensuring Fairness to Farmers Act, Ensuring Fairness to Farmers Act, which would change this whole system of insurance. Change the whole system of insurance.
Which is needed.
That's what I've been trying to do for the past year. Through all of these crises, the floods, and forgive me for not mentioning hail.
We got to go look at that still too, so we better put our walking shoes on because you got to see it.
Okay, I got my walking. And I don't want to belabor this point, but I think you understand. You're smart people. You've been in this business for a while. Maybe stopping the creditors right now.
Immediately, yeah.
Maybe we can do something through the states. I don't want to promise you or even imply that we're going to be able to do it through the United States Congress, because it just isn't going to be possible in the time frame that you need help. So we're going to need the states. We'll need this emergency, this major disaster declaration, that we can put.
Yes.
I was with FEMA this morning and pushed them to get their evidence in those parts of the state done by the end of next week, so we can get the application in, so we can get it declared, so we can get money out there. We need that to unlock the money that will provide the emergency relief.
For them.
Yeah.
What about
Well,
here?
You know, let's document it here too, and maybe it can include here. By the way, thank you for your service. I was in the Marine Corps Reserve. My son is a Marine. His other son is a Navy SEAL. I have met veterans around the state that have gone into farming, and so I respect, you know, what you're doing, and for you and for everyone here, again, who has sustained these losses. I have a pretty good idea what you're going through because I've listened to these stories, not only here, but in the past.
Can you make sure that the Connecticut Department of Agriculture that's collecting the information about the disaster stuff here, they've reached out, Commissioner Herbert told me this morning, they've contacted 63 farms in the area, connected up with 27. 6 have filled out forms so far with their losses. There are 5 more active ones that are in the process of trying to get that information together. There's probably more here who haven't heard from them that may be small, not on their list. But then coordinating things so then you don't have to fill out a FEMA form, you don't need to fill out an FSA form, you don't need to fill out a State Department of Ag form, because all that takes time and hours, and you're pulling through your records and what the documentation is required. It's just, on top of everything else, just nerve-wracking for people. And then you got cleanup to do, you got the payroll for the dozens of people that we have that you still want to keep on your payroll. Lay them off, they'll collect unemployment, but then we get charged on our account for increased unemployment costs when there was no fault of your own. So how can, we need that labor, so you can't lay them off, but you can't pay them either, as Willie just said. Those are the things to come together, and whether our state people that are here, you know, hear that to go back to the Department of Labor, whether there's an exception with the state, calls special session again to turn around and amend the unemployment laws so these people can be covered by unemployment for X number of weeks and the payroll be covered so farmers can get help that way. Just an idea. Thank you.
I talked to Brian before coming here. He knew that I was coming here, and I'm going to call him when I leave. And maybe we can get a list of people who are here who want that kind of streamlined assistance. I recognize, you know, a lot of paperwork involved, which is time-consuming, sometimes costly. See what we can do to streamline it.
Is there a point person that's overseeing that application for this region?
For this
Or
region,
someone that's coordinating the farmers that need to put this paperwork
I
together?
think
The Connecticut Department of Agriculture.
Commissioner of
Who's the
Agriculture.
point person there?
Commissioner of Agriculture.
Commissioner, or Jamie, I can give you.
He's specifically working on
Brian
it, or?
Berber.
Well, I think it's Jamie Lizzie Smith is one of the other point people.
Thank you.
Senator? Right here.
Oh, sorry.
You can see here, this is really, in the turnout here, it's part of the identity of this town. It's one of the last existing farms. If it wasn't for Will Della Camera, I as a property owner would not be able to afford my property any longer. I could not maintain it. It would go to waste, and I'd probably have to see it go down to development. It's the last thing I want to have happen. The hardest working guy I know, I'm waking up at 5:30, 5:45. He's coming down with that tractor loaded with 75 bags of corn. He's been up there since 4:30 in the morning with these guys. I'll come home from work at 8:30 at night, and they're just coming down with their last load again. It's unbelievable what they do. But I, as a property owner, if I did not have Will farming that property, keeping it healthy and productive, I would have to give it up. Again, this is the last vestiges of this town, which was once all entirely farms. This progressive farmer, this young man, again, if it wasn't for him, I, as a property owner, would have to give it up. Another piece of open space gone in this town. So it's important, not only for the farmers, for Will, for the devastation. I mean, I'm right next to him. I know what he suffered. It was the scariest thing I've ever lived through. It was horrendous. But I need him. I need Will. I need him to farm. I need him to farm that property. We all need him.
This town needs him.
The town needs him. All of us here. That's why we came out. We need Will Delafield. We need the farm farm. I thank you for taking the time to come out here along with Vinny, wherever he is. The people from the town. Again, we thank you for coming out and listening. It's a tough job, I know. I've served as 28 consecutive years as a president of a 480 member organization. I know what it takes. You put your feet to the fire. You stand up, and we thank you for that. But let's make something happen. These people need it. We need it. The trickle down needs it here in this town. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. I do want to walk with Will, but I want to yield first of all to others. We have some legislators who are here from the state, and by the way, it's bipartisan. The effort to try to achieve some reform in our present federal laws is bipartisan. I want to just emphasize to you again that our adversaries here are the big farm companies.
Yep.
Everybody seems to, people in this country often ignore that the power in this country, by virtue of sheer dollars and dominance on the part of those big agribusinesses, stymies your senators, your congresspeople, like Rosa and Joe, to get stuff done in Washington to reform the system.
With all due respect, sir, I think that's an excuse.
It's not. It is not an excuse. It is not meant to be an answer to the point that you've made. We're going to go to bat for you. We're going to advocate. We're going to fight for you.
Senator, you got to all become like Willie's corn, all good ears.
Well, you know the old saying, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Full every day.
So maybe we do a little more listening.
Well put, Cliff.
And I came out here to see and listen.
Well, that's what we're here for.
And I am grateful to you and to everybody else here for coming out to speak your mind. I thank you. I really thank you sincerely. Let me turn it over to anyone who would like to.
Vinny's got some
Yeah,
things to say.
Vinny's the senior member of the delegation, but I just want to say, well, thank you, Willie, for getting us all together. I talked to you right after, and it's when stuff like this happens, I know that we've talked, when stuff like this happens, you realize what gaping holes there are in the system with stuff like this, and I know this is something that you've been working on, and I know Rosa's been working on. I know Willie talked to Rosa's office as well in fixing the farm bill, because we, talked to Commissioner Hurlburt, and there's some real gaps, and we can't react to give, I wish we could write a state check right now to, and I know Bonnie has more information too from UConn, but I'll let, as Vinny is the senior member of the delegation, I'll let him, because we've sort of been talking about it.
No, I just thank you all for coming out for Will. It is, it's heartbreaking to see what he's gone through. We all know how much he has worked. Having the privilege of working so closely with him through COVID, I think you can't put into words what he did for people when they were at their lowest point. And I think, for our community, there is the GoFundMe site. We could continue to push that to get private donations. The issue here is getting money turned over quickly, and the federal government is not nimble. And maybe a year from now we'll see results, but that's not good enough. And so we're going to talk to the governor tomorrow. I think we have some state programs, and in talking with Bonnie and the Department of Agriculture, we're going to look for solutions to fill in this gap, to bring resources, financial resources in quickly, because the crops are rotting now, and we need to, time is not on our side. This isn't something that we could sit and wait. He needs workers in here yesterday to help try to save some of this. So we are gonna try to make that happen.
Vince, I've got a question. You said you're gonna go back to the governor. Why didn't he come here today? Why?
Well, we should have extended that invitation.
Yeah, well, extend it for tomorrow.
So
for
we
tomorrow.
did not do that, but I will certainly call the governor. Also, we have Mayor Cervoni here from Wallingford. You know, obviously farms in Wallingford are impacted right on the border, and also our Senator Paul Ciccarella.
And just a couple of words, you know, we understand that there's frustration, there's processes to attempt to try to get the money, and you go through that process, you still wait, you're not hearing anything, and you guys need that assistance now. We have small farmers that literally rely on this to get through the summer, and they have to make sure that that crop will get them through to winter, and they're not going to have that opportunity. How are they going to live? They don't want to hear about a form and a phone call they may get, and we understand that frustration. We were having some conversations earlier before coming here, and there may be opportunities to find some relief immediately, and that's what we're going to work with the governor to attempt to do that. But we really need to make sure we make these processes easier, and it's not just in this space of agriculture. It's across the board. We really need to do that, and we understand how important farms like this are, and we will continue to work with our state agencies and our partners at a federal level to address those issues. And we'd like to take a tour.
Yeah, well, Bonnie, do you want to say anything real quick? Because I know you have a little
Sure.
bit.
No, thank you, Senator. I would just say that right now, so first of all, Yukon Extension does not provide money. However, we do provide resources. Sharish Gamiri is someplace here. Anybody working with vegetables, fruit, we have Evan Lentz. But I think one of the really important things to do is that it's the activation piece that we've got to get going on. And I think that you heard the Senator talk about that. You heard Keith talk about what we need to do in terms of making sure that we get everything documented. Nothing can happen until it's documented. I am begging you. I am begging you to please go on to the Connecticut Department of Agriculture website and make sure that you start filling out that paperwork. We'll blast it through all of our extension networks so that you can get to the website, but that's got to happen. Senator, I guess one more thing before you get to go on your tour. You and Senator Murphy worked with our state delegation to do the Save the Small Farms Act down in DC. You introduced it back in June. I guess what we're asking for is your commitment to work with your legislative staff in DC to maybe ramp up on what's included in that. I know Farm Bureau is really active in the middle of all of their policy development work right now. Keith, if you can speak to that, but I think that that's what's really important, is gathering all these ideas. We've been writing them down at Extension to see what we need to have, what we're hearing, and we'll certainly commit to work with you to make sure that we can add and beef up the act that you introduced in June. So,
what happened to the plant grants we got a few years ago?
Well, that's up for discussion as well, Willie. I'll tell you that.
That's a good discussion they should have, because that would fulfill all the problems right here.
And
the years we don't use it, it gets funded and funded and funded.
And that's what your senators and Representative Candelora are talking about.
You have my commitment.
Thank you.
Not just my commitment, but my passionate promise. And so far as the governor or anyone else is concerned, Dan Riley has been taking pictures. We obviously are going to tell others. I'm going to tell my colleagues in the federal delegation. I'm going to be with the governor tomorrow, literally tomorrow morning. I don't think he was invited. I didn't invite anyone to come here. I'm so glad that everyone did. But he's going to know about this meeting, about this gathering, about what you told me. And I'm going to take what you told me down to Washington with me, and the picture of what I've seen here and elsewhere in the state. I don't know whether any of our other mayors, you're welcome to say anything if you'd like.
I think they've listened to a lot of us.
So why don't we take a walk, and we'll walk with you, Willie.